We're about to go live with another Quickie Accountability Success Circle.
We're about to do it.
Let us know where you were tuning in from in the chat.
Do you like my purple hair and my Bitmoji?
I know, it's beautiful. New year, newbie. All right, here we go in 3, 2, 1.
I love that. It's like, I feel like our audience is all a bunch of happy children.
Right? I know, right? It's amazing. Welcome. Welcome to another one. This is going to be amazing because can you believe it, April? This is 39. We've done 38 of these, and this is our 39th.
That's crazy.
Right?
We're going to keep on cranking them out.
Exactly. Yeah, we're going to crank out the quickies. And so, this week, can you believe it? Today, as of today, October 1st, 2020, there are 91 days left in 2020. And so, perfect day to talk about planning for the next year. And I know you may be thinking about, like, oh my gosh, I can't deal with it. But, life goes on, and that reminds me, I need to change my toothbrush. It's the end of the quarter.
I need to start doing that because I feel like I'm just like, oh, it feels like it's time to change. And I got to get on that cyclical bandwagon for some of my other stuff. But yeah. So we are talking about the new year for sure. And I don't know how many of you are like, wait, this year is not over, but there might also be a good handful of you that are like, let's just have 2020 be over and get on to 2021 because WTF was this year, or has this year been so far. So we're going to start talking about planning. This is what we do every October. We get into our annual planning theme. This is the one theme of the month that stays the same in the Accountability Success Circle because it is a perfect time to start planning, which I guess goes into our first tip for, why,
bust it.
Right? We're talking about, just like 3 things to consider when planning for 2021. It's number 1, start early. We're starting in October because if we do planning in January, the year's already started, so you've already lost some of that time. And a lot of the momentum that comes from the new year of like, okay, it's January 1, time to start new. You want to be able to start that bandwagon, or you want to start that plan or, kickstart the year off on January 1st. But if you don't do planning before January 1st, then you've already lost some time. And we don't typically want to start planning during the holidays, right? So pretty much mid-November, you want to be in cruise control mode. And so that gives you about, sometime in October or November to plan. So this is my recommendation to you. I know that a lot of people are like, yeah, but this is something that I personally have been doing for over 5 years, starting this planning process and actually coming up with a cyclical process and have been kind of building it every year. So now I'm in this place where I can actually do some planning that is, following a process, and it is very cyclical. And we are having our very first annual planning retreat in the ASC as a group that's happening next weekend. I'm like already plugging it. So if you feel like you want to not do your annual planning alone, this is definitely something that you should definitely think about joining. But yes, start early, because if you don't, then it's just going to be something that you're going to put off and postpone, and then the holidays are going to get here, and then before you know it, it's January 1st and you don't have a plan, and then you're going to be forced to create a plan then. So Gary, you have anything to add to that?
No, you nailed it. It may not, you may be thinking like, I can't even think about 2021 yet, and it's all good. That's why it's important to start early, and it ties into our next one, which is be flexible.
Woo!
Yes, would you? Because again, this is your life here. This is not like something where it's completely rigid. Think about when you were planning for 2020. I was actually just talking about this earlier when I was on my buddy Terry Schilling on his show. when I was saying like 2020 is going to be the year, and then what happened? COVID. Um, so so it's important to be flexible, and if you are flexible, think you're not going to be rigid. You're going to just start thinking about like what's the life that you want to create in the next year. How can you continue to amplify what you're already doing? And this is why like we start early, because you can start that process where you're putting a plan to place. You're starting to get some parameters so that your creative brain can start to take over. And April, knock it down, because this is your jam right here.
Yeah, I mean, I think when we say we're going to create a plan for 2021, it's not going to be like, okay, on August 6th, I'm going to do this. And then on September 3rd, I'm going to do this. And on April 29th, I'm going to do this. It's not that detailed, but we want to actually understand what it is that we want to create and be in a place where we have space for new things to show up, because there's going to always be unexpected things like COVID that'll show up. And also to just give us a sense of, a direction of where we're going. So there might be specific projects that we want to complete, and we might want to get a little bit more drilled into those. But we also want to think about exactly what Gary was saying, like what is our way of living for this year? What are the things that we want to what are the new things that we want to try that, will increase and improve upon what has happened in 2020. We want to think about the things that were good about 2020 and bring those into 2021 with us. And we'll want to then think about some of those projects. So you want to have that flexibility. You don't want to drill into the details. That's what the rest of October to December is for, or even parts of January. But we want to make sure that we have an idea of what we're actually going to be doing and focusing on for 2021. All right. And shall we go to
number 3?
This is the third thing that you need to think about as you're planning for 2021 is giving yourself the space to envision your year-end goals. So we kind of talked about this in number 1, but I want to reiterate this because this is so important. The people that I have been, working with over the last few years, I'll say, okay, now's the time to start planning for 2021. And they're like, yeah. And I'll go through the annual planning process and I'll give them a structure. And then they never create the time to actually do their planning. And then what happens? It's January and they haven't really, then they want to start a plan, which is still okay. But how much more powerful would that be if you had your plan before Thanksgiving, before you started going into the holidays? You can kind of hit cruise control, and then January 1st hits and you're like, boom, I'm ready. Because after all of that relaxation, you're kind of like, okay, I'm ready to do it. But you already have the plan, so all you have to do is execute. How amazing would that be? So this is the part where it's really important to say that you need to create a space for you to actually do the planning, because you can't just think about it over the course of like 15 minutes and be like, okay, this is what I'm doing for 2021. You have to really think out a little bit more in detail. Like, okay, I want to write a book, or I want to start a business, or I want to, lose, 30 pounds, whatever that is for you. You need to think about, well, you have to take it a little bit farther than, I'm just going to do this, because you have to say, all right, well, what is it that I'm going to need to do to lose that 30 pounds, to write that book, to whatever, insert large, lofty goal here. So you need to create some space. I would typically say you might need a few hours. I go a little bit deeper into my plan, so I might, spend, a course of like a couple hours here and there over a course of days. And then I really spend a weekend really seriously planning and really making sure that I have thought through every little detail, because I'm a little bit more detailed, every little detail of what I want to do in all the various areas of my life. So I would definitely suggest that you need to carve some space, whether that is like a couple hours on a weekend sometime in October. That would be my best suggestion. But as you get more comfortable, you might, want some more time depending on the level of detail that you want to get into, but not too much detail, if you get what I'm saying. Gary, what else do you have to add?
Yeah, the only thing is a story. So Bill Gates, love him, hate him. We can all agree that he is amazing. He's definitely created a name for himself, and he is super intelligent. He gives himself a week
Mm.
every year in a cabin by himself to reflect, to think about all the things that he's doing. It's his own personal retreat, and he says that the things that he's done in life would not have happened had he not given himself the space to do that. And so, as April mentioned, sometimes we have this habit of waiting to the last minute. But if you give yourself time and space over the course of the next couple of months, and you get yourself in a state where you feel comfortable, you're going to, I like to say, a relaxed mind is what you need to create things that are going to be transformative in your life. Yeah, create the space. And then the cool thing is you can start to daydream about, like, say it's a year from now and you're looking back on the year. What are you saying to people? So, these are just, again, the fun things, but it gets your mind into the right state so that you can make these things happen.
Sweet. Awesome. So that is our 3 tips to things that you need to think about when you're planning for 2021. So start early, be flexible, and you got to create some space. You need to make a date with yourself and make it happen. And again, if you don't know how to make that date, but you don't want to do this plan alone, you could join us on next Friday through Sunday. We are doing our annual planning retreat. We are facilitating this for about 15 people so far, and we are also the leadership team, which is Gary, myself, and Rebecca. We are actually doing our annual planning at the same time. So we've created a space to do this together. You get a guide of the process of how to do this for yourself, and you get to do it with a bunch of awesome people. So if you're interested, there's still time to register. Feel free to every time I see that you put that on I'm like, ah! Gary is awesome. Any chance that you get, you can take a look at the registration's open, so come join us, come have some fun, do annual planning in a group of supportive individuals. And not only will we talk about help you craft your plan, we're also going to give you some tips and tricks on how to stay accountable to that plan once you've created it. So yay, I think that's it.
That is it. We knocked it out.
Quickie, and we will see you next week with an epic new Quickie number 40. Woohoo!
Woohoo!
So we'll see you then.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Adios.